Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to a new season of You Bet CaneSport with Lee Sterling, our weekly look at the Miami Hurricanes from the betting perspective. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined by Lee Sterling himself of ParamountSports.com, your place to go if you want the highest percentage of winning picks this football season. Lee's got a track record going back several decades and finds a way to be on the pulse, the best any human being can, of sports prognostication year-round, but with a huge emphasis on football season, which is upon us, Lee. And we'll start out with the Miami Hurricanes. This is called starting out a new year in style. I mean, this is my kind of season opener, okay? Enough of the damn Bethune-Cookmans and FAMU openers, and last year at least we got Florida, but I love the big game on opening weekend. Your thoughts just on what Miami is facing here with a Notre Dame team that played for the national title at the end of last year?
Well, last year wasn't bad. I mean, Florida to open the year is always nice, but I think we had an idea that Florida was not real good. At least they weren't through probably the first three quarters of the season. Miami, even though they're facing a team with a brand new quarterback, they are facing a team really good. And the only thing, we're a couple days out, but the only thing that could get in the way of a great game could be the weather. I mean, that's if you got to take everything into account when you're a handicapper, and the extended forecast doesn't look real good. And I don't like the fact also there's a game being played there. Is it Friday night or Saturday night on the field? They're having two college teams play. So don't want to see the field get chewed up. But
who's playing on there at the stadium on Saturday?
Maybe it's Bethune-Cookman or one of those teams.
One of those teams?
Yeah. But, yeah, so keep an eye on the weather. That's the only other thing that you got to know what's going on.
So, this Notre Dame team, they play for the national title last year, and now they got to come back and try to do it all over again. And in your world, how difficult is that?
It's tough. I mean, it would be tougher if they won, than the complacency. But, now they got to do it with a new quarterback. It's not like Riley Leonard was great. I mean, their passing game wasn't much at all. But, the kid was a leader. The team believed in him, and now they've got a new voice there and some new pieces. So, and also, I think even though they went to the championship game, let's be honest, there's a couple things why I don't think were a great team. I think they were a really good team, but not a great team. Number one, they lost that game early to a MAC school, to Northern Illinois. And then I think the pressure was off. No one was thinking about them until late. And they get in the playoff, and lo and behold, they get the perfect draw there. I mean, Oregon, who had beaten Ohio State, the number one team, they had to face, Ohio State. So, sometimes, it's good, but also pays to be a little lucky too. And I think they, like I said, faced teams at the right time, and the bullseye wasn't on their back like it normally is. And they got the perfect draw in the playoffs. So they're good, but they can certainly be beat.
All right. So you have a Miami team that, everybody down here in Miami feels that really good about, and they feel like they know this team, but the reality is they really don't know this team. There's a lot of new moving parts. There's new coaches, there's new players. You got a new quarterback. It's going to be a different style of offense with Carson Beck at the controls than it was with Cam Ward back there. And usually all of this change doesn't necessarily mean great things on opening night, because, you got to build chemistry, the coaches and players. When a coaching staff like the Miami defensive staff coaching a game for the first time against a really good opponent, that's easier said than done. I mean, you got to be able to make adjustments on the fly. You have to have your communication down pat with your players. So there's a lot of elements, Lee. So in the sports prognosticating world that you live in, how do you sort through all that and come up with a read on this Miami team?
Well, I think both teams obviously would like to have a game under their belt before this game, but not the case. I think it favors Miami that they're facing a kid that has never thrown a college pass. Now, I went and watched their spring game, but It's tough to tell from a spring game. I think CJ Carr, who is the grandson of Lloyd Carr, former Michigan coach, is talented, and they have another kid who's good also, and they'll use maybe a package with him for a series or two, more running the ball. But, I think the intangibles probably help Miami unless it's absolutely pouring. And then we know Notre Dame has, if not the best running back, one of the top 2 or 3 in the country. And then they'll probably have a little bit of an edge there. So I'm a little worried about the receivers. They're new, and I think they'll be fine by midseason, maybe even earlier than that. But I think the bigger factor is, and it was interesting in the offseason hearing some former Notre Dame players talk about playing Miami in 2017. And they still to this day say that might have been the toughest venue they ever played in. You listen to some of these guys that do the national radio shows, even about handicapping. They talk about Miami's not that tough to win at when it is packed. And one kid, former player from Notre Dame, said, he goes, it was like an absolute party. He goes, it was mind-numbing, the sound that was coming from there. It was that tough to play in it. So don't kid yourself. People talk about Alabama, talk about Tennessee, some of these other huge venues, Ohio State. But when Hard Rock is full and Miami's playing a home game, very, very tough to beat them there. So those are some of the things that I see. I think Carson Beck's going to be fine. I mean, I'm going to be watching him. I think the line's going to be fine. I think the running backs, we're 3 deep. I think we're good there. The receivers, as I mentioned, maybe the MVP is getting Corey Heatherman. I mean, he's a huge addition, and I like the packages. I went back and watched some of their defensive schemes that they run, and he did a lot with very mediocre talent at Minnesota. Yeah. He's going to have much more talent here. So I just think it's going to take CJ Carr from Notre Dame maybe a couple games to settle in here. I don't think you're going to see them throw down the field much unless it's like 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1. I really don't. I'd be shocked if they take a shot down the field in the first 2-3 series, 2nd and 5 or 1st down. I'd be totally shocked. And, if he gets they don't want to take a chance him getting a pass intercepted right away. But if I'm Miami, I would almost maybe bait them, say, hey, we're gonna give you the long ball, because I really think that Miami needs to come up and crowd the receivers, and they couldn't do anything. I know they've got some new guys this year at receiver, but they got no separation on anyone decent in the playoffs. So they were just pretty much just running the football. So I just think that this is a good situation here for Miami. I thought the line would come out of Pick'em. Miami's a 2.5-point underdog. I'll take the 2.5 points. I had Miami winning this game here, 23-20.
Now, you mentioned the weather. I mean, the forecast calls for an 87% chance of showers on Sunday. That's not great. And we don't know if that means day, night, yet or whatever. But how do you guys that pick football games factor in the weather, and how does that play into your selections?
Well, sometimes it's tough. I mean, like I said, I think it favors Notre Dame a little bit. So if I find out the night before, early in the morning, that it's going to be horrible, I probably, if I like Miami, I'm probably not going to bet the game. That's the great thing about wagering. There's going to be 50, 55 games to bet on Saturday. There's going to, I think, is it Miami and maybe one other game on Sunday? You don't have to play the game. I mean, there's some days in preseason football, I don't bet a game. If I don't have anything, I'm not betting. I'm not giving it to my client. So some of the best bets are the bets that you lay off and don't play, or play smaller. So we can determine. The bookmaker can't determine which way we're going. We can determine which way we're going to bet. We just have to be smart. Like people, I see a lot of, especially young kids, playing parlays all the time. And on my Hard Rock app, I get a lot of offers, boosts for 3 and 4 team parlays. If I play 3 2-team parlays a year, that's a lot. And I'm only going to play at something correlated.
Because how hard it is to win one game, much less 2.
Right. So, they want you to play parlays. That's how they make more than half their money. Why? Because to win a 2-team parlay, the odds are 4-1. They're only paying 13-5. You get to 3-team parlays, it's 8-1. They're only paying you 6-1. And then going forward, it's 16-1. You're only going to win on average 1 out of every 16 parlays on a 4-team parlay. But I see people all the time. My kids are in their 20s. I see them with their boyfriends and their friends, and they're at games, and there's a lot of 4- and 5-team parlays. Now, sometimes in basketball, they're doing player props with it also, and that's a new thing. You can do that in college football, but it's a losing proposition. So they'll give you boosts all day long, 10, 20, 30% boosts. Don't fall for the trap.
Because they know they're not going to lose. So Carson Beck against CJ Carr, obviously Carson Beck's a veteran quarterback. CJ Carr's starting for the first time. How do you factor that into your pick?
It's a new offense. If Carson Beck was in his 3rd year in Georgia, he might even have a bigger edge, but I think he still has an edge. And the reports are that we're hearing that he's looked good. He's, back to 100% healthy. And I think it helps that they have really no idea what he's going to do in this offense and very little what they're going to do on defense. So, they can say what they want, but this is the great unknown. And I think that helped, Miami last year when they played Florida. I think Florida had no idea what to expect out of Cam Ward, and they came out firing. Miami obviously played well on offense and defense overall, and that helps too. But I think we know what Notre Dame is going to do on offense, defense. New coordinator Al Golden left, so there is they'll be able to put in some different defenses and blitz schemes, and maybe Miami might surprise Miami a little bit. But I think overall Miami has a little bit of an edge here. It's a tough game. Like I said, if it's raining and raining hard, I'm probably not playing the game. If it's okay, slightly into Miami.
All right, the Bet MGM and every other odds maker has made the over/under for Miami 9.5. It's pretty much what I've seen everywhere. And what are your thoughts on that?
A slight lean to the under. I think if I had to say what record would I predict, I would say 9-3. I think they'll split Notre Dame and Florida. Here's something to look ahead to. If Florida looks good, and let's say Miami wins, Miami might be a 5.5, 6 point favorite. You might think, and I know I'm a Miami fan, and so are you, the odds and the play might be to play Florida. They're looking for revenge. Bet that early. And, Miami was ready for Florida last year, but this year, I think Florida has that game circled. Now, if Miami loses to Notre Dame, I'm not interested, but, I'm a professional bettor, and I'm looking to get an edge. And, it might start off at 5.5, 6 Miami, and it might close 3.5, 4. So I've got the edge there. But I think that Miami will probably split, if I had to guess, between Florida and Notre Dame. And, on paper, are we better than probably almost every other team? Yeah, but Mario Cristobal has not proven he's been able to win, a lot of close games, and he always drops a game or two to teams they have no business dropping games to. And there's a bunch of teams on Miami's schedule, teams like Virginia Tech, I think will be better than last year. And Virginia Tech gave us problems. So don't just look at the schedule and go win, 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 win. Every year is different. You'll know after 2 or 3 games, what each team is pretty much all about. And there's going to be some tough games and some teams everyone always looking to take Miami out. No one thought we were going to lose to Syracuse.
Yeah, no doubt.
Talent-wise, we beat Syracuse by 3 touchdowns.
So if the weather holds up somewhat, you got Miami winning by 3.
Yeah.
And obviously, they're 2.5 point underdogs, so that would be a pretty good scenario for the better. So hopefully it plays out that way, and everybody goes home happy on Sunday night. All right, Lee, this might be this is as good of an opening weekend of college football as I think I've ever seen. I mean, if there was a better one, it was a long time ago that, I certainly don't remember. And just some amazing games. I wanted to ask you about a few of them. Let's start with the Alabama Crimson Tide going to Tallahassee to play a Florida State team still reeling from its experience a year ago. Mike Norvell needs to turn it around. Playing Alabama opening day, even at home, is not the greatest way to do that. Your thoughts on Alabama at Florida State?
So the line looks big, and you're saying home underdog getting almost 2 touchdowns. I think Alabama is very under the radar this year. They lost 4 games last year, but Kalen DeBoer, he did bring back his offensive coordinator from Washington, Ryan Grubb. He was with Seattle last year with the Seahawks as their offensive coordinator. Really good move there. And if Alabama gets the lead, how is Florida State going to come back? Thomas Castellanos was talking trash in the offseason. I think one of the reasons that FSU nabbed him was he had his best game last year against Florida State. They scored 28 points in that game. Other than that, they didn't score more than 23 points in the game that he started. He missed some games where he was out injured, but I mean, he's not great. He's only, I think, okay if he's playing with the lead or within 7 points. Once they fall behind by a lot, I think it spells trouble. And he threw 14 interceptions 2023. Everyone's talking about Alabama losing 4 games. Florida State, it's crazy to think that 2 years ago they were undefeated and an injury away from their quarterback playing for a national title. Those 10 games last year, and they weren't even competitive. So I think it might be competitive for a half, but I think Bama pulls away 38-20.
Won't be happy in Tallahassee to see the season start like that. Another huge game of interest. You got Clemson, a 4-point favorite at home against an LSU team that's hoping to do big things this year. How do you see that game playing out?
So what's interesting about this, I didn't realize this is the first time that they've ever faced off in the regular season. Now, they did play in the 2019 championship game, which LSU won 42-25, but LSU's lost 5 straight opening games here. I don't love Brian Kelly. I don't think he's a great coach here, and I know LSU is a real tough place to play, but so is Clemson. Death Valley is really tough, and LSU lost 4 of 5 offensive linemen, starters, and those 4 went in the draft. All 4 starting defensive linemen. Now, both teams have really good quarterbacks, so probably go, if I had to guess, in the top 5 of the draft. But LSU is not a good traveler. 7-5 straight up, 4-8 against the spread since Brian Kelly came over. While Clemson, what have they done the last 68 games at home? 63-5 straight up. So you only got to lay 4. I have them winning the game here, 36-28, winning and covering.
ACC.
Yep. And I'm going to make a prediction here. I'm going to make a prediction, Gary. I'm going to say the ACC needs to get someone in the semifinals, or I think the SEC and the Big Ten are going to raid the ACC, and something's going to happen. I'm talking about if the ACC doesn't have a good year, we could see 4 teams go to the Big Ten and 4 go to the SEC. So,
well, they're talking about the Big Ten expanding by 2 teams, possibly by 2030. Yeah. So that got everybody excited again. A lot of Miami people want to see Miami go to the Big Ten.
Didn't Miami have a chance, Gary, in the early 2000s to get invited to the SEC, or am I wrong?
There was some speculation along those lines. Right. I don't think it was never seriously under discussion. I don't think, but I'm in the be careful what you wish for category.
No, I know.
But I don't think you want any part of the SEC, and I'm not sure you want any part of a 20-team Big Ten either. And I know it sounds great. You might make a little bit more money. They're not that concerned about the money at Miami right now. It's like if they got to spend an extra $10 million on football, $20 million on football, they're okay with it. The hospital's making a fortune. The university is in incredible financial shape.
Right.
They have decided to invest in football and they're not stressing out about what conference they're playing in.
I'm good. I'm good with the ACC right now. I think it's as long as things go well. Do you really want these kids too in these other sports traveling to go to Wisconsin and Michigan? These are much longer trips than going to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech.
No doubt, man, and it's the right conference for Miami. It just is. It's not like we've won the ACC, haven't won it once. So,
right.
It's the right conference. It really is, and the negative is obviously less money per team, but the Miami administration is managing that, and they've just come up with a way to reward the better teams in the conference financially, and it might not be as bad as people think. We'll see how that plays out. But Lee, this next one I'm going to ask you about is as good of an opening game as it gets. These are the two favorites to play for the national title. They somehow end up squaring off on opening day. What kudos to the schedule makers at Ohio State and Texas. Fabulous opening game. Ohio State is a 2-point favorite at Texas.
No, it's at Ohio State. It's at
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Ohio State is a 2-point favorite at home. My bad. Your thoughts on that game?
So we know they played in the semifinal. Ohio State won 28-14. A lot closer than the score would indicate. Texas got to the 1-yard line with less than 4 minutes to go. And then Steve Sarkisian's, his play call that he called out of the shotgun, a toss sweep, was absolutely one of the worst calls I've ever seen in college football in a big moment. They lose 7 yards. The next play, Quinn Ewers, he's sacked, fumbles the ball, returned for a touchdown by Jack Sawyer, and game, set, match. So it was a good game. Something that people forget in that game, Texas lost their best receiver, and they'd already lost their top receiver, but they had lost their second best receiver and literally their top 2 receivers pretty early in that game. And before that, Steve Sarkisian had called a pretty good game. So this Ohio State team that is going to be lining up on Saturday, I think not even close to that team. Even the Texas team, not quite as good. There was 14 players drafted from Ohio State's team. That's a lot to lose. Even Will Howard, the Justin saying, they're talking his play's been uneven so far in fall camp. Will Howard was really good down the stretch. So he turned the ball over very few times, and they had 2 great running backs, all the receivers. It was scary good. So I think they're going to be down a couple notches here. I'm looking at every position group, and I think Texas actually might be better in every position except for wide receiver. So if the game wasn't at the Horseshoe, I think Texas would be talent-wise, and we might say after 3-4 weeks, a 5-6 point favorite here. They have both coordinators coming back. Ohio State, 2 brand new coordinators, and you can't discount that. And the Texas coordinators have been there for 5 years. I just don't think that these big play guys for Ohio State that they lost. I think losing those guys like Jack Sawyer and a couple of the receivers and Howard, I just think it's too much. And I think Arch Manning is going to be really good. So I think the wrong team's favored. I like Texas 24-20.
Wow. An Arch Manning believer. Boy, is he, for a guy that's done so little, he's being hyped up quite a bit. It's going to be interesting to see if he can.
He looked good when he's played. He looked good. So pretty good bloodlines there, right, Gary?
No doubt. No doubt. He's had good teachers. All right, Lee, you got a new studio this year. I see you got the threads going with the Paramount Sports logo. Big things happening at Paramount Sports. Your information's been across the screen at the bottom of this entire show, the 1-800-400-9741, ParamountSports.com. What do you have for any new customers that might come your way here as the football season begins?
Well, also want to let them know I also do a daily podcast on the Locked On Network called Locked On Bets. It's on here on the shirt. And comes out about 10:30 in the morning. So if you're looking for bets each and every day, do that with Kevin Rogers. Kevin's from Miami and did it for about 3.5 years. Took about a year off. My former co-host couldn't do it anymore. I was waiting for someone, the right person to come free, and Kevin came free. So we do that daily. You're going to get 3, 4, 5 free selections. So go on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and check us out and subscribe. We appreciate it. And if you like wagering, Paramount Sports, 32nd year in business. We did have a bad month last year in November, but we had a huge September, October, down month in November, one big in December, January and February cleaned up. I think we finished on a 10-1 run in the college football championship and the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. So another winning season for us. You want to try us out? We have what's called the September to Remember special. Get from now through the end of September, 5 weeks of action. Use coupon code SAVE100, just $497. It's my phone service. Most weekends like this, you'll get 8 to 12, 9 to 13 games a week where we rate them from 10 to 50 units. And on a 40 to 50 units over the last 17 years since we changed our unit rating system, we're 71 and 28 on those 40 to 50 unit best bets. So you want to give us a try, $497 with coupon code SAVE100 for 5 weeks, or through the Super Bowl, $19.97 gives you 25 weeks of action. $19.97. You don't have to re-up or anything. Someone's going to call you and tell you you got to pay more for this or that. So we also have a service this year, a brand new service. Been friends with someone for a long time, and he plays player props, college football and the NFL. Finally convinced him to sell picks on my site, and he's had a couple $200,000 cashes with DraftKings and FanDuel.
Wow.
So if you want to get those selections, it's $597 for the season. So everything's up and available. Just one place, ParamountSports.com, or you can call me 800-400-9741. All
right, there you have it, fans. And I can tell you, I've known Lee for a long time, and he puts a lot of work into what he does. And amazing, as you go through the course of the season, some of the picks you end up getting from him. So, highly recommend it. No guarantees. It is wagering, but Lee can at least figure out a way to give you a little bit of an edge, which never hurts. All right, well, that's going to do it for You Bet CaneSport for this week. Big weekend for the Miami Hurricanes, and hopefully it goes the way Lee says it's going to go, and the Canes come out on top. For Lee Sterling, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week, everybody.